German Shepherd's breathing was wrong. Dr. Elena Russo heard it the moment the emergency buzzer cut through the silence of her tiny veterinary clinic at 11:47 p.m. She'd been doing paperwork, trying to figure out how to pay both the supply invoice and her daughter's orthodontist bill with money that didn't exist. Now she ran to unlock the front door, her sneakers squeaking on linoleum that needed replacing 3 years ago. The dog lay on the sidewalk outside. Male, maybe 5 years old, beautiful black and tan coloring beneath the blood. So much blood. His side rose and fell in rapid, shallow gasps. Foam gathered at his mouth. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Oh God. Elena breathed, dropping to her knees. She'd been a veterinarian for 8 years, ran her own practice in Chicago's Little Italy for the last 3, and she'd seen plenty of emergencies. But this dog was dying. Minutes, maybe less. No owner in sight. No collar. Just this magnificent animal bleeding out on her doorstep like someone had left him there deliberately. Elena didn't think. She grabbed him under his front legs and pulled. He whimpered, a broken sound that shattered her heart, but she kept pulling. 100 pounds of dying dog across the threshold, through the waiting room, into the surgery suite. Her hands moved on autopsy. IV catheter, fluids, check the airway. His gums were white. Severe blood loss. She palpated his abdomen. Distended, hard, internal bleeding. The wound on his side was deep, ragged. Not a car accident. This looked like someone stabbed him, she whispered to the empty room. She prepped for emergency surgery with hands that shook from adrenaline, not fear. Fear came later. Right now there was only the mission. Save this dog. She was wrist-deep in the shepherd's abdominal cavity, clamping a severed vessel, when she heard the front door explode open. Not unlock, not open. Explode. The crash of splintering wood echoed through her clinic, followed by the heavy thunder of multiple footsteps. Men's voices, harsh and urgent. Find him. Now. Elena's blood turned to ice. She was alone in her clinic at midnight with her hands inside a stolen dog, while armed men, they had to be armed. That voice carried violence like a scent tore through her waiting room. The surgery door slammed open. 5 men in dark suits filled her doorway. Not cops. Cops announced themselves. These men looked like they'd stepped out of a movie about the Chicago outfit. Expensive clothes, expensive watches, expensive guns holstered under their jackets. The largest one, built like a linebacker with a scar through his left eyebrow, pointed at the dog on her table. Step away from him. He's in the middle of surgery, Elena said, somehow keeping her voice steady. If I step away, he dies. Step away. Elena looked down at the Polonais. Shepherd. His heartbeat was thready under her fingers. One of the other vessels was still bleeding. She had maybe 3 minutes to clamp it. No, she heard herself say. The scarred man moved forward, hand going to his weapon. Marco. Another voice cut through the tension. Stand down. The men parted like a curtain, and he walked through. Elena had grown up in Little Italy. She knew the stories, the whispers, the names that made people cross themselves and change subjects. She'd never believed most of them were true. Dante Moretti was real, very real. He was younger than she expected, maybe 35, with dark hair going gray at the temples and eyes the color of winter smoke. His suit probably cost more than her monthly mortgage. He moved with the controlled precision of someone who'd spent his life calculating threats and eliminating them. He looked at the dog on Elena's table, and something in his face cracked. Nero, he breathed. The shepherd's ear twitched at the name. His tail made one weak thump against the table. Dante crossed the room in 3 strides, his hand reaching for the dog's head with surprising gentleness. What happened to him? Someone stabbed him, Elena said. Punctured his spleen. He's bleeding internally. I'm trying to stop it, but I need you all to get out. Right now. You're contaminating my sterile field. Dante's eyes snapped to hers. People probably didn't tell Dante Moretti what to do. Ever. How bad? His voice was rough. Bad. He's lost a lot of blood. Even if I stop the bleeding, infection, shock. Elena took a breath. I need to focus, and I can't do that with guns in my operating room. Everyone out, Dante said quietly. Boss, we don't know her. Marco started. Out. Wait in the lobby. Secure the perimeter. Find out who did this. The men filed out, reluctance evident in every movement. The door closed, leaving Elena alone with Chicago's most dangerous crime boss and his dying dog. "What's his name?" Elena asked, returning to the surgery. Her hands found the bleeding vessel, clamped it. "Nero. He belonged to my wife." The past tense hit Elena hard. Belonged? She died. 6 months ago. Dante's hand never left the dog's head. He's all I have left of her. Elena's throat tightened. She understood loss. God, did she understand it? "Then let me save him," she said quietly. "But I need you to step back. I need space to work." Dante looked at her for a long moment. Then he moved to the wall, giving her room but not leaving. His eyes never left Nero. Elena worked. She ligated vessels, removed the damaged section of spleen, flushed the abdomen with warm saline. Her fingers moved with the muscle memory of 1,000 surgeries, but her mind was screaming. This was insane. She was operating on a Mafia boss's dead wife's dog in the middle of the night with armed men in her waiting room. Her daughter was asleep at home 3 miles away, watched by their elderly neighbor Mrs. Chen. If something went wrong here, if this dog died, don't think about that. Just work. 40 minutes later, she closed the last suture. Nero's vitals were stabilizing, heart rate steady, blood pressure coming up, breathing more regular. "Is he?" Dante's voice cracked. "He's going to make it," Elena said, exhaustion flooding through her. "He'll need antibiotics, pain management, monitoring, but he should survive." She looked up and found Dante Moretti staring at her with something that looked like disbelief. "You saved him. That's my job." "No." Dante moved closer. "Your job is small animals, wellness checks and vaccinations. This was emergency surgery at midnight on a dog someone tried to murder." His eyes were intense. "You could have turned us away, called the police. But you didn't." Elena stripped off her bloody gloves. "I don't turn away dying animals. I don't care who owns them. What's your name?" "Dr. Elena Russo." "Dr. Russo." Dante said it slowly, like he was memorizing it. "You just saved the last piece of my wife I have left. That means something in my world." "I don't want to be in your world," Elena said honestly. "I just want to run my clinic and raise my daughter and not get involved in," she gestured vaguely, "whatever this is." Too late for that. The words sent ice down her spine. "Excuse me? Someone stabbed Nero and left him on your doorstep specifically. This wasn't random." Dante's expression hardened. "They wanted me to find him here, which means they know about you now." Elena's stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means whoever tried to kill my wife's dog knows I'd come looking for him. They're watching. And now you're connected to me." "I'm not connected to anything. I'm a veterinarian who saved something precious to me," Dante interrupted. "In my world, Dr. Russo, that creates a debt, and it makes you valuable." He paused. "Which makes you a target." The room tilted. Elena grabbed the table for support. "You're saying because I saved your dog, someone might come after me?" "I'm saying they already have. They used Nero as bait to expose my vulnerabilities. You're one now." Dante pulled out his phone. "Marco, I need a security detail on Dr. Russo's home address. Now." "Yes, her daughter too. Age 7, neighbors watching her." "Go." "Wait." Elena's voice pitched up. "My daughter? You leave my daughter out of this." "I'm trying to protect your daughter." Dante's voice was firm but not unkind. "The same people who stabbed Nero won't hesitate to hurt a child to get to me. They've already proven that." Elena felt the walls closing in. This morning she'd woken up worried about bills. Now armed criminals knew where her daughter slept. This can't be happening. It is happening. Dante moved closer, his presence overwhelming. "But I'm going to handle it. My men will watch your home. Tomorrow we'll move you somewhere safe until I find who did this. You can't just relocate my life." "I can, and I will. You saved Nero. That means you're under my protection now." His eyes were steel, whether you want it or not. Elena stared at this man who'd walked into her clinic and turned her entire world upside down with his dying dog and his dangerous gratitude. "What if I refuse?" Dante's expression softened slightly. "Then you and your daughter stay exposed to people who hurt animals to send messages." If you find this story engaging, please take a moment to subscribe and enable notifications. It helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. People who know where you live, where your daughter goes to school, where you buy groceries. He paused. "Is that really the choice you want to make?" It wasn't a choice at all. It was a trap disguised as protection. Elena looked down at Nero, sleeping peacefully under anesthesia, his chest rising and falling with steady breaths. This beautiful dog who'd been used as a weapon against the man who loved him. One condition, she said quietly. Name it. My daughter doesn't know what you really do. She thinks you're just a man whose dog I saved. Nothing more. Dante nodded slowly. Agreed. They stood in the big surgical suite, the soft beep of monitors filling the silence. Outside, Elena could hear Marco on the phone, coordinating security details and investigating leads. Her normal life was over. She'd saved a dog at midnight, and somehow ended up in the crosshairs of a Mafia war. Dante stayed while Elena monitored Nero's recovery. She kept checking her phone, texting Mrs. Chen that she'd had an emergency surgery and would be home soon. Everything's fine, she lied. Nothing was fine. Tell me about your wife, Elena said finally, adjusting Nero's fore. If I'm going to be part of this nightmare, I should at least understand why. Dante was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, Isabella. We met when I was 23. She was a teacher, loved art and books and everything beautiful I'd never let myself care about. His voice was soft with memory. She hated what I did. Hated the violence, the fear, all of it. But she loved me anyway. What happened to her? Car accident. That's what the police report said. Dante's jaw clenched. But I know better. The brake line was cut. Professional job. Someone killed her to hurt you. Someone killed her to destroy me. He looked at Nero. They almost succeeded. After Isabella died, I stopped caring about the business, about threats, about anything. I was drowning. He paused. Then Nero started sleeping in my bed, following me everywhere, refusing to eat unless I fed him. This stupid dog wouldn't let me give up. Elena felt her chest tighten. She understood that kind of loss, that desperate need for something to anchor you to life. My husband died 3 years ago, she said quietly. Cancer. Stage 4 by the time they found it. 6 months from diagnosis to funeral. She checked Nero's incision. My daughter Mia was 4. She kept asking when Daddy was coming home, and I had to figure out how to explain that he wasn't. Ever. Dante watched her with those intense gray eyes. How did you do it? I didn't have a choice. Mia needed me. The clinic needed me. I couldn't afford to fall apart. Elena smiled bitterly. So I worked. 70-hour weeks. Anything to avoid the empty house and the memories. I'm still in debt from his medical bills. Still working twice as hard as anyone else just to keep the lights on. Is that why you opened the door tonight? The money? Elena looked at him sharply. I opened the door because a dog was dying on my sidewalk. I don't care if his owner is a crime boss or a homeless man. I save animals. That's who I am. Something shifted in Dante's expression. Respect, maybe. Or recognition of someone else who'd stared into the abyss and refused to blink. You're going to hate the next few weeks, he said. I already hate tonight. It gets worse before it gets better. Comforting. Dante almost smiled. Almost. Nero stirred, whimpering softly. Dante was at his side immediately, murmuring in Italian. The dog's tail thumped, weakly. He knows your voice, Elena observed. Isabella used to sing to him. Old Italian lullabies her grandmother taught her. Dante's hand was gentle on Nero's head. After she died, I couldn't. My voice would break. But he'd curl up against me anyway, waiting. He looked at Elena. Dogs are loyal even when we don't deserve it. He deserves a fighting chance. They both do. Elena checked her phone. 2:17 a.m. Mrs. Chen had texted back. Mia still sleeping. Take your time, dear. I need to go home, Elena said. Check on my daughter. Explain why there are suddenly armed men watching our house. Marco will drive you. I'll stay with Nero. You should rest. You look exhausted. I'll rest when whoever did this is dead. The casualness of the threat should have terrified Elena. Instead, she just felt tired. This was her life now, at least until Dante Moretti found his revenge. Marco drove a black SUV that probably cost more than Elena's, a clinic. She sat in the passenger seat, hyper-aware of the gun holstered under his jacket, watching her neighborhood blur past. How long have you worked for Mr. Moretti? She asked. 15 years. Since I was 20. Do you like it? The work? Marco was quiet for a moment. Mr. Moretti is fair, loyal. He takes care of his people. There are worse bosses in this city. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement. This life isn't for everyone, Dr. Russo. But for some of us, it's the only family we have. He pulled up to her building, a modest 3-story walk-up in a neighborhood that was trying hard to gentrify. Mr. Moretti's protection isn't a burden. It's a gift. Not many people have it. It doesn't feel like a gift. It will when you realize how many people would hurt you without it. 2 more black SUVs were parked across the street. Elena could see men inside, watching. Her home was under surveillance, because she'd saved a dog. "This is insane," she muttered. "This is Tuesday," Marco said. Mrs. Chen met her at the door, worry etched on her weathered face. "Elena, dear, there are men outside. Scary-looking men." "I know. It's complicated." Elena squeezed her neighbor's hand. "Thank you for staying with Mia. I'll explain everything tomorrow, I promise." After Mrs. Chen left, Elena stood in her daughter's doorway, watching Mia sleep. 7 years old, dark curls spread across her pillow, one arm wrapped around her stuffed rabbit. She looked so small, so vulnerable. Elena had spent 3 years building a safe life for them. Routine, stability, boring suburban normalcy. Now it was all crumbling because she'd answered her door at midnight. She should have turned them away, called the police, protected herself and Mia. But then Nero would be dead. And something in Dante Moretti's eyes when he'd said, "That's all I have left of her," made her incapable of walking away. Empathy was going to destroy her. Her phone buzzed, with a text from an unknown number. "Nero's awake, asking for you." Elena stared at the message. A Mafia boss was texting her about his dog. Her life had officially become a fever dream. She typed back, "I'll check on him in the morning. He needs rest. So do you." The response came immediately. "Thank you. For everything." Elena set down her phone and buried her face in her hands. She'd saved a dog at midnight, and somehow, impossibly, that single act of compassion had bound her to Chicago's most dangerous man. There was no going back now. Elena woke to sunlight streaming through her bedroom window and the smell of burning toast. She bolted upright, heart pounding, before remembering. Mia was home, safe, making breakfast with the cooking skills of a 7-year-old. For 3 beautiful seconds, Elena thought last night had been a nightmare. Then she looked out the window and saw the black SUV still parked across the street. "Shit," she whispered. "Mommy said a bad word." Mia's voice sang from the kitchen. Elena dragged herself out of bed, pulled on a robe, and shuffled into their tiny kitchen. Mia stood on a step stool at the stove, carefully scraping charred bread into the trash. "I was making you breakfast," Mia said, her lower lip trembling. "But I burned it. It's okay, baby." Elena hugged her daughter tight, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo. "We'll make new toast together." They ate breakfast at their small table, Mia chattering about school and her best friend Sophie, and the field trip to the aquarium next week. Normal conversation. Safe topics. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, a different one this time. "Dr. Russo, this is Marco. Mr. Moretti requests your presence at the estate this morning to check on Nero. A car will pick you up at 10 a.m. Requests. Right. Because Mafia bosses made polite requests. Who's texting you?" Mia asked, syrup on her chin. "A patient's owner. I need to check on a dog I operated on last night. Can I come?" "Not this time, sweetie. But Mrs. Chen said she'd take you to the park today." Mia's face fell. "You're always working." The words hit like a physical blow. Elena reached across the table, taking her daughter's small hand. "I know, baby. I'm sorry. But this is important." "Is it the same important as when Daddy was sick?" Elena's throat closed. Mia rarely mentioned Michael anymore. When she did, it was always with this careful tone, like she was testing whether it was safe to remember. "No," Elena said firmly. "This is different, I promise." But was it? She was diving into danger again, just like she had during Michael's illness, working herself to exhaustion, sacrificing everything to save someone who might not survive anyway. Maybe she had a problem. At 9:55 a.m., Elena stood on the sidewalk wearing her most professional outfit, dark jeans, a clean sweater, her white coat with Dr. Elena Russo, DVM embroidered on the pocket. Armor for a battle she didn't understand. The black SUV pulled up exactly on time. Marco emerged from the driver's side. "Dr. Russo." He opened the back door. "Mr. Moretti is eager to see you. How's Nero?" "Recovering well. Ate some chicken this morning. The boss has been with him all night." Elena slid into the SUV, noting the expensive leather seats and the subtle scent of gun oil. The door closed with a heavy thunk that sounded disturbingly like a vault ceiling. They drove north, out of her modest neighborhood, into areas where the houses got bigger and the gates got taller. Elena watched the city transform from working-class grit to old-money elegance. "Where exactly are we going?" she asked. "The estate, Mr. Moretti's private residence, and how many armed men will be there?" Marco's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. "Enough to keep you safe, Doctor Russo." "That's not an answer. In our world, it's the only answer that matters." The estate appeared behind iron gates that probably dated back to the Prohibition era. The mansion beyond was Victorian, all stone and stained glass and architectural dignity. Gardens sprawled in every direction, maintained with obsessive precision. It looked like a museum, or a fortress. "Welcome to your new reality," Marco said quietly. They parked in a circular driveway where a fountain burbled peacefully, as if armed men didn't patrol the perimeter and security cameras didn't track every movement. Dante met her at the door himself. No suit today, just dark jeans and a black t-shirt that somehow made him look more dangerous, not less. His eyes were shadowed from lack of sleep, but alert. "Dr. Russo, thank you for coming. You didn't give me much choice. I could have made it an order." His lips quirked. "I'm trying to be polite." "How considerate." He led her through a hallway lined with expensive actual paintings, not prints into a sunroom that had been converted into a recovery space. Medical equipment that looked top of the line, like hospital bed, monitors beeping softly. And there, on a plush dog bed approximately the size of Elena's couch, lay Nero. The German shepherd's tail thumped when he saw her. His eyes were brighter than last night, alert and aware. "Hey, handsome." Elena knelt beside him, running expert hands over his body. "How are you feeling?" Nero licked her hand. "He's been asking for you," Dante said, whining at the door since dawn. "Dogs remember who helps them." Elena checked his incision. Clean, no signs of infection. She listened to his heart and lungs. Strong, steady. His vitals look excellent. "You've been taking good care of him." "I had help." Dante gestured to a woman in scrubs standing near the doorway. "This is Dr. Sarah Kim, my personal physician. She's been monitoring him overnight." "Doctor," Kim smiled. "Your surgical work was impressive, Dr. Russo. Very clean technique." Elena blinked. "You have a human doctor monitoring your dog?" "I have the best resources available monitoring the most important thing in my life," Dante corrected. "Money isn't the issue. Nero's survival is." Elena should have found it absurd. A crime boss marshalling medical resources for a dog like he was coordinating a military operation. But looking at the careful setup, the expensive equipment, the obvious devotion, she understood it completely. "He needs to stay quiet for at least a week," Elena said. "No running, no rough play, pain medication twice daily, antibiotics 3 times. I'll need to check his incision in 3 days. You'll stay here." Elena's head snapped up. "Excuse me? You'll stay here at the estate. Monitor his recovery personally." Dante's tone was matter-of-fact. "I've prepared a guest suite for you and your daughter. Your belongings are being moved as we speak." The room tilted. "You're moving my belongings? Without asking me? I'm ensuring your safety while you provide medical care for Nero. It's practical. It's kidnapping. It's protection." Dante moved closer, his presence overwhelming in the bright sunroom. "Dr. Russo, last night someone stabbed my wife's dog and left him to die on your doorstep. That wasn't random. They wanted me to find him at your clinic, which means they're watching you now, learning your routine, identifying your weaknesses. My weakness being my 7-year-old daughter." "Exactly." His voice softened. "I'm not trying to control you, I'm trying to keep you alive. Both of you." Elena's hands were shaking. She pressed them against her thighs to still them. "For how long?" "Until I find who did this and eliminate the threat. And what if that takes months? I have a clinic to run. Mia has school. We have a life." "Your clinic has been temporarily closed for emergency renovations," Dante interrupted. "Very generous funding from an anonymous donor. Your staff will continue receiving full salary. Mia will have a private tutor here, one with an excellent background check. Your life continues. Just in a different location." Elena stared at him. "You can't just rearrange my entire existence because I saved your dog." "I can. I am. And you'll thank me when you're still alive at the end of this." She should fight this, should demand he return her to her home and her normal life. But looking into Dante Moretti's eyes, She saw the same desperate determination she'd felt when Michael was dying, the absolute refusal to lose another person he loved. Only this time, the person he was trying to save was her. 1 week, Elena said. I'll stay 1 week. Monitor Nero's recovery. After that, we renegotiate. 1 week, Dante agreed, but they both knew it was a lie. The guest suite was nicer than Elena's entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the gardens. A king-sized bed with Egyptian cotton sheets. A bathroom with heated floors and a shower that had more settings than her car. Fresh flowers on the nightstand. A sitting area with a leather couch and a television that rose from a cabinet, with the press of a button. This is obscene, Elena muttered. This is the smallest guest room, Marco said, setting down her hastily packed suitcase. Mr. Moretti wanted you in the East Wing. Better views. But you're closer to Nero here, so he compromised. How generous. He's trying, Dr. Russo. Marco's expression was sincere. I know this seems extreme, but in our world, when someone targets what you love, you don't take chances. And what do you think happened? Who would stab a dog to send a message? Marco's jaw tightened. That's not my place to discuss, but I will say this. Mr. Moretti has enemies, some from before his wife died, some who blame him for her death, and some who see his grief as weakness to exploit, by attacking his dead wife's dog, by attacking the last thing that keeps him human. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. What happens when I've served my purpose? Elena asked quietly. When Nero recovers and I'm no longer useful, you'll still be under Mr. Moretti's protection. Always. Marco moved toward the door. He doesn't forget debts, and he doesn't abandon people who've earned his loyalty. After he left, Elena sat on the impossibly comfortable bed and tried not to have a panic attack. Her phone rang. Mrs. Chen. Elena, dear, there are very polite men here packing up Mia's room. They say you approved this? Yes. It's complicated. Is Mia okay? She thinks it's an adventure. They told her she's going to stay in a mansion with a big dog and a swimming pool. Mrs. Chen's voice dropped. Elena, who are these people? Friends, Elena lied. The dog's owner. He's very grateful for the surgery, and he has better facilities for monitoring the recovery. It's just for a few days. These men have guns. I know, it's security. The owner is very wealthy and very private. A long pause. Mrs. Chen had lived in Little Italy for 40 years. She knew what wealthy and private meant in this neighborhood. Be careful, dear, she said finally. Men with that much power are dangerous, even when they're being kind. I will. Thank you for everything. After she hung up, Elena looked out the window at the manicured gardens, the distant figures of patrolling guards, the gilded cage that was now her home. Mrs. Chen was right. Dante Moretti was dangerous, but so was whoever had stabbed Nero and left him to die. And caught between two dangers, Elena had chosen the one that at least pretended to protect her. She hoped it wasn't the wrong choice. Mia arrived at 3 p.m., in a different black SUV, escorted by a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and sensible shoes. Dr. Russo, I'm Teresa Gonzalez. Mr. Moretti hired me as Mia's tutor and companion during your stay. She had the warm, competent manner of someone who'd raised children and knew exactly how to handle them. I have a master's in early childhood education and 15 years of teaching experience. My background check is available if you'd like to review it. Elena looked at this woman who'd been vetted and hired and inserted into her daughter's life in less than 12 hours. Does Mia know? She thinks I'm here to help with homeschooling during your work. Nothing more. Mia burst through the door, eyes wide with wonder. Mommy, this place is huge. And there's a dog. Can I meet him, please? Elena knelt down, catching her daughter in a hug. Yes, baby, but the dog is recovering from surgery, so we have to be very gentle, okay? I'll be so gentle. The most gentle, like a butterfly. They walked together to the sunroom where Nero rested. Dante was there, sitting on the floor beside the dog, reading what looked like financial reports. He stood when they entered, setting aside his papers. His eyes went to Mia, and something in his expression shifted, softened. You must be Mia, he said gently. I'm Dante. Thank you for letting your mom help Nero. Mia peered around Elena's legs, shy for approximately 3 seconds. Then, is he a good dog? The best dog, Dante confirmed. Can I pet him? If your mom says it's okay. Elena nodded, and Mia approached Nero with the careful reverence of a child who'd been taught to respect animals. She sat on the floor, held out her hand for him to sniff, then gently stroked his head. Nero's tail thumped. "He likes me," Mia whispered, awed. "He has excellent taste," Dante said. Elena watched this feared crime boss interact with her daughter. Patient, gentle, with none of the intimidation he'd shown Elena. He spoke to Mia like she was a person, not a child to be patronized. Michael had been like that. Natural with kids. Mia had adored him. The comparison made her chest ache. "Mia, baby, Teresa is going to show you your room, okay? I need to talk to Mr. Moretti about Nero's care. Can I come back and visit him later?" "If Mr. Moretti doesn't mind." "Anytime," Dante said immediately. Nero could use the company. After Teresa led Mia away, chattering about the swimming pool and the library and the treehouse in the garden, Elena turned to Dante. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for being kind to her. I'm not a monster, Dr. Russo. I know, but you're also not just a man whose dog I saved." She met his eyes. "Who stabbed Nero? And why?" Dante was quiet for a long moment. Then he gestured to the couch. "Sit. This will take a while." She sat. He remained standing, hands in his pockets, staring out at the gardens. 6 months ago, my wife Isabella was killed in what the police called a car accident. Brake line failure. Very tragic, very convenient. His voice was controlled, but Elena heard the rage beneath. "I know it was murder. I know who ordered it, but proving it is complicated." "Who?" "Vincent Marconi. He runs the family on the south side. We've been at war for territory for 5 years. Subtle war, economic pressure, political maneuvering, occasional violence that looks like accidents." Dante's hands clenched. "Isabella was a message. No one is safe. Not even the ones you love. And now Nero. Now Nero, because Vincent knows I'm weak, grieving, distracted. He's testing my defenses, looking for openings." Dante turned to face her. "Leaving Nero at your clinic was deliberate. Vincent wanted me to find him there, to form a connection with you, to create another weakness." Elena's stomach dropped. "I'm bait. You're leverage. But only if Vincent can get to you." His eyes were intense. "That's why you're here. Protected. Under my control. You make it sound like I'm your prisoner. You're under my protection. There's a difference." "Is there?" Dante moved closer. "A prisoner has no choice. You can leave any time you want, Dr. Russo. Walk out that door. Take Mia back to your apartment. Resume your normal life. And within a week, Vincent's men will grab you off the street. They'll use you to force my compliance, or they'll kill you to hurt me. Either way, you die." His voice was flat, factual. "So yes, you have a choice, but it's not the choice you want." Elena felt the walls closing in. "This is insane. This is my world, and I'm sorry you're in it. But I won't apologize for keeping you alive." They sat in silence, the only sound Nero's steady breathing and the distant hum of the estate's security systems. "How do we end this?" Elena asked finally. "How do we get back to normal? I eliminate Vincent. Remove the threat permanently." "You mean kill him?" Dante didn't deny it. "I mean remove him from the equation. Whether that's death or exile or forcing him out of Chicago, that's tactics. The goal is the same. Neutralize the danger. And then you go home. You and Mia. Resume your lives. I'll maintain distance but keep security in place. You'll never see me again unless you choose to." The words should have been reassuring. Instead, they felt like loss, which was absurd. She barely knew this man. He was a criminal, a killer, someone who operated outside every moral boundary she'd built her life around. But he was also grieving, desperately trying to protect the last connection to his dead wife, fighting to keep Elena and Mia safe because his code demanded it. Michael would have liked him. The thought came unbidden and strange, but it was true. Michael had always respected people who protected their own, who honored their commitments, who loved fiercely even when it destroyed them. 1 week, Elena said again. Then we reassess. 1 week, Dante agreed, but his eyes said what they both knew. 1 week wouldn't be enough. That night, Elena had dinner with Mia in an enormous dining room that could have seated 30. Instead, it was just the two of them at one end of an absurdly long table, eating pasta that a private chef had prepared. "This is the best spaghetti ever," Mia announced. "Can we take the chef home?" "I don't think that's how it works, baby." "Why are we really here? Mommy?" Elena set down her fork. "What do you mean? You said it was for the dog, but there are men with guns outside, and this house has cameras everywhere. And Mr. Dante looked sad all the time. Mia's 7-year-old eyes were too knowing. Is someone trying to hurt us? Elena's throat closed. She'd tried so hard to shield Mia from fear, from danger, from the reality that the world could be cruel and random and vicious. But children always knew. Mr. Dante's dog was hurt by bad people, Elena said carefully. And Mr. Dante wants to make sure we're safe while he finds out who did it. We're not in danger, baby. I promise. We're just being extra careful. Like when Daddy was sick? When you made me stay with Grandma? Similar, but different. I'm not sick. You're not sick. We're just helping a friend who needs us. Mia considered this. Then, do you like Mr. Dante? He's a patient's owner. I'm being professional. He looks at you the way Daddy used to. Like you're magic. Elena's breath caught. Mia, I don't mind. I want you to have friends. You're always alone. Mia reached across the table, taking Elena's hand with sticky fingers. You save everyone, Mommy, but who saves you? The question broke something in Elena's chest. You do, baby. You save me every day. Later, after Mia fell asleep in a bedroom 3 times the size of her normal one, Elena stood on the balcony outside her suite. The estate grounds stretched before her, beautiful and manicured and surrounded by walls topped with security cameras. A gilded prison, or a sanctuary. She wasn't sure which. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dante. Nero's asking for you. He won't settle. Elena should have ignored it, should have maintained professional distance. But she found herself walking through the quiet hallways to the sunroom, following the path she'd memorized that afternoon. Dante sat on the floor beside Nero's bed, the dog's head in his lap. He looked up when Elena entered, exhaustion, evident in every line of his face. He's in pain, Dante said quietly, but he won't let me give him medication, just keeps whining. Elena knelt beside them, running practiced hands over Nero's body. His incision was fine. His vitals were good, but he was anxious, unsettled. He's grieving, Elena said softly. What? Dogs grieve. He probably smells Isabella on her things, knows she's gone, but doesn't understand why. Elena stroked Nero's head. The surgery, the pain, being in a strange place, it's bringing all that loss back. Dante's jaw clenched. I kept all her things. Her clothes, her books. I thought if I left everything the same, it would hurt less. It doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't. They sat in silence, 2 people who understood loss, tending to a dog who missed a woman who'd never come home. Tell me about her, Elena said. Isabella. Dante's hands stilled on Nero's fur. Why? Because he can hear you, and maybe he needs to hear about her, to remember the good parts. So Dante talked about how Isabella had rescued Nero from a shelter when he was a puppy, how she'd trained him to be gentle despite his size, how she'd sung to him every night before bed. He talked about her laugh, her stubbornness, her ability to see good in people who didn't deserve it, including him. And Elena listened, stroking Nero's head, feeling the grief roll off both man and dog in waves. She made me want to be better, Dante said finally. Not a good man. I'll never be that. But better than I was. Less cold. More human. He looked at Elena. After she died, I stopped trying. What was the point? The only person who mattered was gone. But Nero remained. Nero remained, refusing to let me give up, forcing me to get up every morning, to feed him, to take care of something other than my rage. Dante's voice cracked. And now someone tried to take him too, to finish what they started with Isabella. Elena understood then. This wasn't just about a dog. It was about survival. Nero was the thread holding Dante to humanity, the last connection to love in a life built on violence. If Nero died, so would the man who loved him. He's going to be fine, Elena said firmly. I promise you. He'll heal, he'll run again, he'll keep annoying you into being human. How can you promise that? Because I won't let him die. And because he's tougher than whoever tried to kill him. She met Dante's eyes. Grief makes us strong, Mr. Moretti. It forces us to survive things we shouldn't. Your dog knows that, and so do you. Something shifted between them. Understanding, recognition, the silent acknowledgement of 2 survivors recognizing each other. Dante reached out, his hand covering hers on Nero's head. Thank you, he said quietly, for saving him, for staying, for understanding. I'm just doing my job. No, you're doing far more than that. They stayed there until Nero finally settled, his breathing evening out, his body relaxing into sleep. And Elena realized with creeping certainty that she wasn't just healing a dog. She was healing the man who loved him, which made this situation infinitely more dangerous than any Mafia war. 3 days into her stay at the estate, Elena's clinic called. "Dr. Russo, we have a problem." It was Jamie, her vet tech, voice tight with stress. "Mrs. Patterson's cat is in respiratory distress. I can't reach Dr. Morrison, and the emergency clinic is full. She's asking for you specifically." Elena's stomach clenched. Mrs. Patterson was 83, lived alone with her Persian cat Snowball, who was basically her child. How bad? Bad. Open mouth breathing, blue gums. She needs oxygen and possibly intubation. But the clinic's closed for renovations, and bring her to the estate. The words were out before Elena could stop them. "I'll text you the address. Come to the service entrance. I'll have equipment ready." "Are you sure?" the owner said. "I'm sure. Move fast, Jamie. That cat has maybe 20 minutes. She hung up and nearly collided with Marco in the hallway. "Problem?" he asked, reading her expression. "Emergency patient. My tech is bringing her here. I need to set up a surgery space immediately." "Dr. Russo, that's not negotiable." Elena's voice was steel. "I'm a veterinarian. I don't refuse emergency cases because it's inconvenient. Find me a clean space with good lighting and electrical outlets. Now." Marco studied her for 3 seconds, then nodded. "The East Wing has a converted laboratory. It's sterile. Will that work?" "It'll have to." 20 minutes later, Elena stood in what looked like a medical research facility, prepping instruments while Jamie rushed in with a cat carrier and a terrified Mrs. Patterson. "Dr. Russo, thank God. Snowball can't breathe, and I thought..." The elderly woman's voice broke. "It's okay, Mrs. Patterson. Let me see her." Elena opened the carrier. The Persian inside was gray with hypoxia, fighting for every breath. "Jamie, oxygen. Now. Mrs. Patterson, I need you to wait outside. But, trust me, I've got her." The next hour was controlled chaos. Elena intubated Snowball, established IV access, ran blood work on portable equipment Marco somehow produced. The cat had severe pneumonia, dehydration, and early kidney failure. Elena worked with the focused intensity of someone who'd performed 1,000 emergency procedures, her hands steady, even as her mind calculated odds and outcomes. "Come on, Snowball," she murmured, adjusting the oxygen flow. "You're not dying on my watch." She felt him before she saw him. That particular shift in air pressure that meant Dante had entered the room. "I heard we have a patient," he said quietly. "Geriatric cat. Pneumonia. Touch and go." Elena didn't look up from placing a catheter. "Sorry for commandeering your laboratory. It's not being used for anything important." He moved closer, watching her work. "What are her odds?" "Honestly, 60-40. But Mrs. Patterson has no one else. This cat is her family. Then you'll save her." It wasn't a question. It was certainty, complete and absolute. "I'll try. You'll succeed." Dante's hand came to rest on her shoulder, warm and grounding. "Because that's what you do, Dr. Russo. You save things everyone else has given up on." Something in his voice made Elena look up. He wasn't talking about the cat. Their eyes met, and for 3 heartbeats the world narrowed to just this. A man who'd lost everything. A woman who refused to stop fighting, and the fragile connection growing between them. Then Snowball's monitor beeped urgently, and Elena snapped back to work. 2 hours later, the cat was stable, breathing on her own, color returning to her gums, resting in a heated recovery cage that Marco had somehow acquired. Mrs. Patterson wept with relief. "How can I ever thank you? Just love her. That's all she needs." Elena stripped off her gloves, exhaustion flooding through her. "Jamie will give you medications and instructions. Bring her back in 3 days for a recheck." After they left, Elena sagged against the examination table. Her shoulders ached, her back was on fire, and she was pretty sure she hadn't eaten since breakfast. "You need food." Dante appeared with a plate. Antonio made risotto. "Sit. I should clean up." "Sit. Doctor's orders." Despite herself, Elena smiled. "You're not a doctor. I'm a man with armed guards who will physically carry you to a chair if necessary." His eyes held amusement. "Don't test me." She sat. The risotto was incredible, creamy, perfectly seasoned, exactly what her exhausted body needed. Dante sat across from her, watching with an expression she couldn't quite read. "What?" Elena asked. "You're extraordinary. I'm doing my job." "No." He leaned forward. "Your job was saving Nero. Everything else, commandeering my laboratory, treating emergency cases, refusing to let an old woman lose her companion, that's who you are. Someone who can't walk away from suffering." That sounds like a character flaw. It sounds like compassion. Real compassion. Not the performative kind. Dante's voice was soft. "Do you know how rare that is?" Elena set down her fork. "Why are you being nice to me?" "What? You've given me a room, hired a tutor for my daughter, let me use your facilities, fed me." She gestured around. "You're a crime boss, Mr. Moretti, not a philanthropist. So what do you want?" Dante was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful. "I want to know what it's like." What's like? Being good, genuinely good, not just strategically charitable." He met her eyes. "Isabella was good. She made me want to be better. After she died, I forgot why that mattered. Then you walked into my life, saving my dog at midnight, refusing payment, treating dying cats in my laboratory." He paused. "You remind me what I lost, and what I could be if I tried." Elena's breath caught. This was dangerous. Territory. This was a grieving man projecting his dead wife's virtues onto the first woman who'd shown him kindness. This was how people got hurt. "I'm not Isabella," she said gently. "I can't be her replacement. I know that." Dante's expression was raw, honest. "But maybe you can be Elena, and maybe that's enough." Before Elena could respond, Marco burst through the door. "Boss, we have a problem. Vincent's men just grabbed one of our couriers. They're demanding a meeting. Tonight. Just you." Dante's entire demeanor changed. The vulnerable man vanished, replaced by cold calculation. "Location? The old warehouse district, Pier 17, midnight. It's a trap. Obviously." Marco's jaw was tight. "But they have Rico. And they're threatening to send him back in pieces if you don't show." Elena stood. "Who's Rico?" "My youngest cousin." Dante's voice was flat. 22 years old. Just got engaged last month. Vincent's using him as bait. "You can't go," Elena said. "It's obviously, I know what it is." Dante turned to her, his eyes hard. "But I don't abandon family, even when it's suicide." "Then take backup. Take an army. Don't walk into a trap alone. If I bring men, they kill Rico immediately." Dante's hands clenched. "Vincent wants me vulnerable, desperate, making stupid decisions. This is psychological warfare." "And you're going to give him exactly what he wants?" "I'm going to get my cousin back." Marco stepped forward. "Sir, with respect, this is exactly what we talked about. You're emotionally compromised. Let me handle the negotiation." "It's not a negotiation. It's a message." Dante headed for the door. "Vincent wants to prove I'm weak. Fine. I'll show him what weakness looks like. Then I'll show him what happens when you underestimate it." Elena grabbed his arm. "You're going to get yourself killed." Dante looked down at her hand on his arm, then up at her face. Something flickered in his eyes, surprise, maybe, or recognition. "Would that matter to you?" The question hung between them, weighted with implications Elena wasn't ready to examine. "Yes," she heard herself say, "it would matter." "Why?" "Because Nero needs you, and because—" She stopped, unable to finish the sentence. "Because I'm starting to care. Because 3 days in your world has shown me the man behind the monster. Because you're broken and grieving and trying so hard to be better, and I can't watch you throw your life away. Because someone should care," she said instead. Dante's expression softened. He covered her hand with his, warm and steady. "I'll come back," he said quietly. "I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep." "I always keep my promises, Dr. Russo. It's how I've survived this long." He left, Marco trailing behind, already coordinating backup plans and contingencies on his phone. Elena stood alone in the laboratory, surrounded by medical equipment and the sleeping cat she'd saved, feeling the cold dread of certainty settle in her bones. Dante Moretti was walking into a trap, and she couldn't do a damn thing to stop him. At 11:45 p.m., Elena should have been in bed, should have been sleeping, trusting that Dante knew what he was doing, that this was just another night in his dangerous world. Instead, she was in Nero's recovery room, unable to stay still. The German shepherd sensed her anxiety. He whined, pressing his head against her leg. I know, boy. I'm worried too. Dr. Russo? Teresa appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a robe. Is everything all right? Mr. Moretti went to meet with dangerous people. Alone. Teresa's expression tightened. He does that sometimes. Always comes back. You sound very certain. I've worked for the Moretti family for 15 years. First for Dante's father, then for him. Teresa sat beside Elena. He survived 3 assassination attempts, 2 hostile takeovers, and countless threats. He's smart, careful. He doesn't take unnecessary risks. He just walked into a trap to save his cousin. That's not an unnecessary risk. That's family. Teresa's voice was firm. In this world, loyalty is survival. If Dante abandoned Rico, he'd lose the respect of his organization. He'd become weak, vulnerable. So he's risking death to maintain his reputation? He's risking death to stay human. There's a difference. Elena looked at this woman who'd spent 15 years in the orbit of organized crime, who spoke about assassination attempts like discussing the weather. How do you live with it? Elena asked. The violence, the fear, knowing that any day you love what matters and accept what you can't change. Teresa smiled sadly. Dante is a good man in a terrible position. His father built this empire. His wife tried to pull him out of it. Now he's trapped between honoring his father's legacy and honoring Isabella's memory. It's killing him slowly. Then why doesn't he walk away? Because 200 families depend on him for income. Because leaving creates a power vacuum that gets filled with people far worse. Because, Teresa paused, because he doesn't know how to be anything else. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Situation deteriorating. Boss needs medical extraction. Can you handle gunshot trauma? Marco, Elena's blood turned to ice. She typed back with shaking hands. Yes. What's his status? Conscious. Bleeding. Refusing to leave until Rico is secure. ETA 20 minutes. Shit. Elena stood. I need to set up for trauma surgery. Now. Teresa was already moving. I'll wake Dr. Kim and get Antonio to prepare the surgical suite. Surgical suite? You have an actual... This is the Moretti estate, Dr. Russo. We have facilities for every contingency. The surgical suite was on the basement level, hidden behind a wine cellar. It looked like something from a private hospital, sterile, equipped with monitoring systems, surgical lights, and enough medical supplies to treat a small army. Dr. Kim arrived in minutes, already scrubbed and gowned. What are we dealing with? Gunshot wound. Unknown caliber. Unknown location. He's conscious and mobile, so probably not thoracic or abdominal. Maybe extremity or shoulder. You've treated gunshot wounds before? Elena thought of Afghanistan, of field hospitals and triage decisions and soldiers bleeding out faster than she could work. Yes, she said simply. At 12:17 a.m., the service entrance doors burst open. Marco and 2 other men half-carried, half-dragged Dante into the surgical suite. He was conscious, pale, blood soaking through his shirt on the left side. But he was alive, and he was walking. Told you I'd come back, he said, his voice strained but steady. Shut up and lie down. Elena was already cutting away his shirt, exposing the wound. Entry wound in his left shoulder. No exit wound visible. The bullet was still inside. Rico? Dante asked Marco. Secure. Minor injuries. Already being treated upstairs. Vincent? Alive. For now. Good. I want him alive for what comes next. Elena ignored their conversation, focused on assessment. The bullet had missed the major vessels lucky but was lodged near the joint. She'd need to extract it carefully to avoid nerve damage. Dr. Kim, start an IV. Antibiotics and pain management. Dr. Russo, Dante grabbed her wrist. No sedation. I need to stay conscious. You need surgery, which requires anesthesia. Local only. I need to be alert. That's insane. This will hurt. Everything hurts. His eyes were fever bright. But I need to stay in control. Please. Elena looked at this stubborn, impossible man who'd walked into a trap and somehow walked back out. Fine. But you do exactly what I say. Any sign of shock, and I'm putting you under. Understood? Understood. The next hour tested every skill Elena had learned in combat zones and veterinary emergencies. She worked with Dr. Kim, extracting the bullet with careful precision while Dante, gritted his teeth and refused to make a sound beyond sharp intakes of breath. "You're doing great," Elena murmured, irrigating the wound. "Almost done. You're very good at this. Shh. Save your strength." "No, I mean it." His voice was strained but sincere. "You're extraordinary under pressure. Cool, focused, precise. You should have been a surgeon." "I am a surgeon. Just for animals. Still counts." He winced as she placed a drain. "Isabella would have liked you. She always said the best people were the ones who treated animals like they mattered. They do matter. To you, yes. To most people?" He shook his head slightly. "They're property, tools, disposable." "Then most people are wrong." Dante smiled despite the pain. "See? Extraordinary." Elena finished suturing, her hands steady even as her heart raced. This man had been shot tonight, had nearly died, and he was lying on her surgical table, making conversation like they were at dinner. It was insane. All of this was insane. "Done," she said, finally stepping back. "You need rest, antibiotics, and absolutely no physical activity for at least a week. Can't promise that last one. Then you'll tear your stitches and end up back here bleeding again. Would you save me?" The question was light, teasing, but his eyes were serious. "Every time," Elena said quietly. "Even when I shouldn't." Something passed between them, understanding, connection, the dangerous recognition of two people who saw each other clearly and refused to look away. "Doctor." Kim cleared her throat. "I'll monitor vitals. You both need rest." After she left, Elena helped Dante into a recovery room adjacent to the surgical suite. He moved carefully, favoring his shoulder, but refused her attempts to help him into bed. "I can manage. You were shot. I've been shot before. This isn't even the worst one." Elena stared at him. "That's not comforting. It's honest." He sat on the edge of the bed, exhaustion finally showing through his bed. Controlled facade. "Thank you. For this. For everything. You already thanked me. Not enough. Never enough." He looked up at her, his gray eyes shadowed with pain and something deeper. "You keep saving me, Dr. Russo. My dog, my cousin, now me. At some point, I'll run out of ways to repay you. I don't want repayment. Then what do you want?" Elena thought about her answer. About safety for Mia. About returning to normal life. About escaping this world of violence and danger. But standing in this recovery room at 1 a.m, looking at a man who'd been shot protecting his family and still managed to be grateful. She didn't know anymore. "I want you to rest," she said instead. "And to not get shot again. That's all. I'll do my best." Elena turned to leave, but his voice stopped her. "Elena." It was the first time he'd used her first name. It felt intimate, dangerous, like crossing a line neither of them had acknowledged existed. "Yes? I meant what I said earlier. It would matter if you cared. Because you're one of about 3 people in this world whose opinion I value." He paused. "And the only one who's still alive." The words hit like a physical blow. This man, this dangerous, powerful man, was telling her she mattered. Not as a tool, not as leverage, but as a person. "Rest," Elena said, her voice unsteady. "We'll talk in the morning." She fled before he could see the tears in her eyes. The next morning, everything changed. Elena woke to shouting outside her window. She pulled on clothes and ran downstairs to find the main hall full of men in expensive suits, all talking at once. Marco saw her and approached. "Dr. Russo, you should go back upstairs." "What's happening?" "Council meeting. The families are demanding answers about last night." "What about last night?" Before Marco could answer, Dante appeared at the top of the grand staircase. He was pale, moving stiffly, his left arm in a sling. But his presence commanded immediate silence. "Gentlemen," he said, his voice carrying effortless authority, "thank you for coming on such short notice." An older man with silver hair stepped forward. "Dante, this situation with Vincent has escalated beyond acceptable parameters. You were nearly killed last night. Your cousin was kidnapped. This cannot continue." "I agree, Don Calabrese, which is why I'm ending it." "Ending it how?" "By accepting Vincent's challenge. Trial by combat. Winner takes both territories." The hall erupted. Elena's stomach dropped. "That's suicide," she said, loud enough that everyone turned to stare. "You were shot yesterday. You can't." Dante's eyes found hers across the crowded hall. "Dr. Russo, this doesn't concern you. It concerns me when my patient is planning to get himself killed before he's healed." Your patient? You have a bullet hole in your shoulder. You're on pain medication and antibiotics. You are clinically unfit for physical combat. Elena descended the stairs, medical authority overriding her fear. As your treating physician, I'm advising against this course of action. Don Calabrese smiled, clearly amused. And who is this outspoken woman? Dr. Elena Russo, Dante said, his voice tight. The veterinarian who saved Nero. Ah, the woman Vincent has been asking about. Calabrese's expression turned calculating. The one he threatened to kill unless you step down. Elena's blood turned to ice. What? That's enough, Dante said sharply. Doctor Russo, please return to your room. Not until someone explains what's happening. Marco moved to escort her out, but Dante raised his good hand. Leave her. The room fell silent. Vincent Marconi has demanded I cede my territory and retire from family business. If I refuse, he's threatened to kill everyone I care about, starting with Nero. Dante's voice was controlled, but Elena heard the fury beneath. Then moving to my cousin Rico. Then to... He stopped. Then to me. Elena finished. He's threatening me. And your daughter. The words made the room tilt. Mia, Elena whispered. He's threatening Mia, which is why you're here. Protected. Dante descended the stairs, moving toward her with careful precision. And why I'm ending this before he can make good on those threats. By fighting him yourself? While injured? Trial by combat has rules. Neutral ground, witnesses from all families, no interference. Winner takes everything. Dante's eyes were steady. It's the only way to end this without full-scale war. And if you lose? I won't. Your shoulder will hold. He reached her, his voice dropping. Elena, I know you're scared, but this is the only way to keep you and Mia safe. If I don't face Vincent, he'll keep coming. He'll wait until your guard is down, until you think you're safe, and then he'll strike. So you're going to risk death to protect us? I'm going to eliminate the threat. His good hand came up, cupping her face with surprising gentleness. And then you'll be free. You and Mia. You can go home, resume your life, forget this ever happened. I don't want you to die. The words came out before Elena could stop them. They hung in the air, witnessed by a room full of crime bosses who would dissect every syllable for weakness. Dante's expression softened. Then I'll make sure I don't. How can you promise that? Because I have something to live for now. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. Something worth surviving for. The intimacy of the moment felt obscene with an audience, but Dante didn't seem to care, and Elena couldn't bring herself to pull away. The trial is in 3 days, Don Calabrese announced. Dante, you should prepare. The moment broke. Dante stepped back, his mask of control sliding back into place. Thank you, Don Calabrese. I'll be ready. The men filed out, already discussing odds and strategies. Marco approached, his expression troubled. Sir, can I speak with you? Privately? Later. I need to rest. After everyone left, Elena helped Dante back to his recovery room. He moved stiffly, pain evident in every step. You're insane, she said. 3 days isn't enough time to heal. I don't need to be fully healed. I just need to be better than Vincent. And if you're not? Dante sat on the bed with a wince. Then you take Mia and run. Marco has arrangements. New identities, money, everything you need to disappear. I'm not running. You will if I tell you to. His eyes were hard. Elena, this isn't negotiable. If I fall, Vincent will come for you. And I won't be able to stop him. Elena knelt in front of him, taking his good hand. Then don't fall. That simple? That's simple. He laughed, pained but genuine. You make it sound easy. You make it sound impossible. Neither is true. She squeezed his hand. You're strong, smart, and motivated. Those are good odds. You have a lot of faith in a man you barely know. I know you're a man who walked into a trap to save his cousin, who kept his dead wife's dog alive because it was all he had left of her. Who's protecting my daughter like she's his own? Elena's voice was fierce. That's enough to know you're worth saving. Dante stared at her like she'd handed him something precious and fragile. What if I'm not? He asked quietly. What if everything good in me died with Isabella? Then we'll find new good, build it from scratch if we have to. Elena stood, releasing his hand. But first, you need to rest, heal, and prepare to win. Because I didn't save you twice just to watch you throw your life away. Twice. Nero. And the bullet hole. Both count. Then I owe you 3 lives now. Keep count if it makes you happy. Just don't add a 4th. After Elena left, Dante lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. He'd survived 3 days until a fight that might kill him. 3 days to train with an injured shoulder. 3 days to prepare for a battle that would determine everything. And somewhere in those 3 days, he needed to figure out why Elena Russo's opinion had become the most important thing in his world. Day 1 of preparation was hell. Dante's personal trainer, a former Special Forces operative named Victor, took one look at the shoulder wound and shook his head. "This is suicide, boss. Then make sure I survive it." Dante flexed his left arm, wincing. "I need mobility, not perfection." They worked in the estate's private gym, a massive space filled with equipment that looked more like medieval torture devices than exercise machines. Elena watched from the doorway, her medical bag at her feet, ready to intervene if he tore his stitches, which he almost did. Twice. "Stop," she commanded. After the second time, blood seeped through his shirt. "You're done for today. I have 2 more days, and you'll spend them dead if you keep this up." Elena marched onto the mat, physically positioning herself between Dante and Victor. "Rest. Ice. Elevation. Then we try again tomorrow with modified exercises that won't destroy your surgical site." Victor looked at Dante, who nodded reluctantly. "She's scarier than you are," Victor muttered. "I'm aware." Back in the recovery room, Elena cleaned and redressed the wound. Her hands were gentle but efficient, professional distance warring with something warmer. "You're going to get yourself killed," she said quietly. "I'm going to keep you safe." "Those aren't the same thing." Dante caught her wrist, stilling her movements. "Elena, if I don't do this, if I show weakness now, Vincent will never stop. He'll wait, he'll watch, and the moment I drop my guard, he'll strike. You, Mia, everyone I care about becomes a target, forever. And if you die, what happens to everyone then? Then Marco takes over. He's loyal, smart, capable. The organization will survive." "I'm not asking about the organization." Elena's eyes were fierce. "What happens to the people who care about you?" "To Nero? She stopped. "To you?" The question hung between them, heavy with implications neither had voiced. "Yes," Elena whispered. "To me." Dante pulled her closer with his good arm, until she was standing between his knees, her hands braced on his shoulders to keep from overbalancing. "You care about me," he said softly. "It wasn't a question. I don't want to. But you do." "Yes." The admission felt like jumping off a cliff. "And it's terrifying. You're a criminal, Dante. You kill people. You operate outside every law I've built my life around. I should run. I should take Mia and disappear and never look back. But you won't. But I won't." Elena's voice broke. "Because you're also the man who mourns his wife so deeply he couldn't let her dog go, who walked into a trap to save his cousin, who's fighting a death match to protect my daughter. And I don't know how to reconcile those 2 people." Dante's hand came up, cupping her face with the same gentleness he showed Nero. "They're both me, Elena. The monster and the man. Isabella saw that, accepted it, loved me anyway." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I don't expect you to, but I need you to understand everything I do, every choice I make. It's survival. For me, for my people, for the ones I love. Do you love me?" The question escaped before Elena could stop it. She wanted to take it back immediately, but Dante's eyes held hers. "I don't know," he said honestly. "Isabella died 6 months ago. I buried everything I felt with her. But you," he paused, "you make me want to feel again. Want to be the man she believed I could be. That terrifies me more than any fight with Vincent." Elena's eyes burned with tears. "I can't lose someone else. I buried my husband 3 years ago. I barely survived it. I can't. Then I won't die." His voice was firm, certain. "I'll win. I'll end this. And then we'll figure out what this is between us. What if there's nothing to figure out? What if this is just—" Elena gestured helplessly. "Proximity, trauma bonding. You seeing Isabella in me. You're nothing like Isabella." Dante's interruption was sharp. She was soft, gentle, saw beauty in everything. "You're fierce, stubborn. You see ugliness and refuse to let it win. You're not her replacement, Elena. You're something entirely new." "Then what am I?" "Mine." The word landed like a physical blow. Possessive, absolute, terrifying in its certainty. "I'm not property," Elena said, but her voice was weak. "No. You're the woman who saved my dog, operated on dying cats in my laboratory, yelled at me in front of the city's most powerful crime bosses, and somehow made me want to survive." Dante pulled her closer, until their foreheads touched. "You're mine because I'm yours, whether we want it or not." Elena should have pushed away, should have maintained boundaries, but her hands fisted in his shirt, holding him close instead. "Don't die," she whispered. "Please, just don't die." "I won't." His lips brushed her forehead. "I promise." They stayed like that, two broken people finding comfort in each other's wreckage, until Victor knocked on the door. "Boss, you have visitors. The Calabrese family. They're asking about the trial terms." Reality crashed back. Dante released Elena reluctantly, his mask of control sliding back into place. "I'll be there in 5 minutes." After he left, Elena sat on the recovery bed and tried to breathe through the panic. She'd just confessed feelings for a mafia boss, a man who might die in 2 days, a man whose world was violence and danger and everything she'd sworn to avoid. Her phone buzzed. A text from her neighbor, Mrs. Chen. "How are you, dear?" Mia's school called, asking about her extended absence. "Should I tell them she's ill?" Elena stared at the message. Mia's school. Her normal life. The world that existed outside these walls, waiting for them to return. If they ever could. She typed back, "Family emergency. Mia's fine. We'll be home. Soon." But soon felt like a lie. Day 2 of preparation brought unexpected help. Don Calabrese arrived at dawn with his own trainer, a wiry man in his 60s who'd apparently trained every fighter in the Italian families for the past 40 years. "My gift," Calabrese said, watching as the trainer assessed Dante's mobility. "Giuseppe is the best. If anyone can prepare you with a damaged shoulder, it's him." "Why help me?" Dante asked. "Because Vincent Marconi is a rabid dog. He's broken every code, threatened civilians, endangered children." Calabrese's expression was cold. "You're a businessman, Dante. Ruthless when necessary, but honorable. The city needs you in power, not him." Giuseppe put Dante through exercises that looked more like physical therapy than combat training. Careful movements that built strength without tearing tissue. Strategic positions that compensated for his limited range of motion. Elena watched, making notes about pain levels and range of motion, intervening when Dante pushed too hard. "Your doctor is very protective," Calabrese observed. "She's very good at her job." "Is that all she is? Your doctor?" Dante's jaw tightened. "That's not your concern. It is when Vincent is using her as leverage." Calabrese's voice dropped. "He's been asking questions. About her, about the daughter. He knows she matters to you. Which is why she's protected." "Protected, yes. But for how long? After the trial, win or lose, she becomes a permanent target. Every enemy you make will see her as your weakness." Calabrese paused. "Have you considered what that means for her future?" Dante had. Late at night, when he couldn't sleep, he'd thought about nothing else. Keeping Elena in his world meant painting a target on her back forever. Letting her go meant losing the first person in 6 months who'd made him want to live. There was no good choice. "I'll keep her safe," Dante said finally. "By hiding her away? That's not living. That's existing in a gilded cage. Better than dead, is it?" Calabrese stood. "Think carefully, Dante, about what you're offering her, and whether it's fair to ask." After he left, Giuseppe continued drilling Dante on defensive techniques and strategic strikes. By noon, Dante was moving better, compensating for his injured shoulder with footwork and positioning. "You're improving," Elena said during the lunch break. She checked his vitals, satisfied that his heart rate and blood pressure were manageable. "Giuseppe is a miracle worker. You're stubborn enough to make miracles happen." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Calabrese is right, isn't he? About what happens after, Elena." "No, don't." She set down her stethoscope. "We need to talk about this. About what happens when the trial is over. Win or lose, Mia and I can't stay here forever." "Why not?" "Because this isn't our world. We have a life, Dante. A normal, boring, safe life. And I need to get back to it before." She stopped. "Before what?" "Before I forget why it matters." Dante stood, moving to where she sat. "What if I asked you to stay? Not as my prisoner. As..." He struggled for words. "As someone who matters. Someone I want in my life." "In what capacity? Your kept veterinarian. The woman you protect because you feel obligated?" Elena's voice was strained. I won't be another Isabella, Dante. Another person you love who gets destroyed by your world. You're not, I know I'm not her, but that doesn't mean I won't end up the same way. Dead in a car accident or worse, watching Mia suffer because of my choices. Tears streamed down her face. I can't do that to her. I can't risk my daughter for whatever this is between us. Dante knelt in front of her, taking her hands. Then tell me what you want. Right now, ignore everything else. What do you want? Elena looked at him, this impossible, dangerous man who'd somehow become essential. I want you to win, she whispered. I want Vincent gone. I want Mia safe. And I want, her voice broke. I want to wake up every morning without being terrified that someone will hurt the people I love. I want normal. I want boring. I want a life where gunshot wounds aren't routine. I can't give you that. I know. They sat in silence, hands joined, both understanding the impossible situation they'd created. After the trial, Dante said quietly, win or lose, you take Mia home. Resume your life. I'll maintain security, but from a distance. You'll never see me again unless you choose to. And if I choose to, then we figure it out, somehow. His smile was sad. But the choice is yours, Elena. Always yours. Before she could respond, Mia burst into the gym, Teresa trailing apologetically behind her. Mommy, Nero walked to the garden today. He's doing so much better. Mia's excitement was infectious. Can I take him for a walk later, please? Elena wiped her eyes quickly, forcing a smile. If Teresa says it's okay. It's fine with me, Teresa said, though perhaps a short walk. Nero's still recovering. Mia noticed Dante, her eyes widening. Dante, why are you exercising? Mommy said you have to rest. I'm preparing for something important, Piccola. What's Piccola mean? Little one. Mia beamed. I like that. Can you teach me more Italian words? Dante glanced at Elena, who nodded reluctantly. After my workout. Come back in an hour. After Mia left, bouncing with enthusiasm, the weight of reality settled back over them. She's going to miss this, Elena said quietly. The estate, the dog, you. When we go back to our apartment, she's going to ask why we can't visit. Then visit. It's not that simple. It could be. But they both knew it couldn't. The night before the trial, Elena couldn't sleep. She checked on Mia, sleeping peacefully. Stuffed rabbit clutched tight. She checked on Nero, recovering well, alert and bright-eyed. She avoided checking on Dante, knowing that seeing him would break her resolve to maintain distance. At 2 a.m., she gave up and went to the library, a massive room filled with books that probably cost more than her yearly salary. She found Dante already there, sitting in a leather chair, staring at a photograph. Can't sleep either? Elena asked. He looked up, unsurprised. Never can the night before something important. Elena sat in the chair across from him. Can I see? He handed her the photograph. It showed a woman in her 30s. Dark hair, warm smile, holding a puppy that would grow into Nero, Isabella. She was beautiful, Elena said. She was everything. Dante's voice was soft. Smart, kind, saw the world differently than anyone I'd ever met. She made me want to be better. Not good, I'll never be good, but better than I was. She'd be proud of you, fighting to protect others, honoring her memory. Would she? Dante took the photo back, studying it. She hated violence, hated what I did. We fought about it constantly. She wanted me to walk away, start over somewhere safe. He laughed bitterly. I told her after one more deal. That's what I always said. After this, after that. I kept postponing our future until there wasn't one. Elena's chest ached. You can't blame yourself for her death. I absolutely can. Vincent killed her because I was too slow to act, too concerned with honor and tradition. I should have eliminated him years ago. But I wanted to be the man Isabella believed I could be, someone who solved problems without violence. His hands clenched. My mercy killed her. No. Vincent's cruelty killed her. You're not responsible for other people's evil. I'm responsible for protecting the people I love. And I failed. Elena moved to kneel in front of his chair, taking his hands like he'd done for her earlier. You didn't fail. You loved her. You gave her happiness. You're honoring her memory by being better than your enemies. She paused. And you're protecting Mia and me. That's not failure, Dante. That's heroism. I'm not a hero. You're my hero. And Mia's. And Nero's. Elena squeezed his hands. Tomorrow, you walk into that trial and you win. Not because you're the strongest or the most ruthless. Because you're fighting for people you love. That's worth more than any weapon. Dante pulled her up, into his lap, his good arm wrapping around her waist. What am I going to do with you, Dr. Russo? Survive. That's all I ask. He kissed her, then gentle, desperate, full of everything they couldn't say. Elena melted into it, letting herself have this one moment of weakness. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. If I don't make it tomorrow, don't. Listen. His voice was firm. If I don't make it, Marco will get you and Mia to safety. New identities, new city, everything you need. Promise me you'll go. I promise. And Elena, he cupped her face. Know that, these past weeks. Knowing you, watching you be extraordinary. It's been the first time since Isabella died that I've wanted tomorrow to come. You gave me that. Thank you. Elena's tears fell freely now. Don't you dare say goodbye. This isn't goodbye. Then what is it? It's see you after. She kissed him again, fierce and claiming. After you win. After Vincent is gone. After we figure out how to make this impossible thing work. And if we can't, then we'll have tried. That's more than most people get. They stayed like that until dawn broke, two people stealing moments before a battle that would change everything. The trial was held at neutral ground, an old boxing arena in disputed territory, witnessed by representatives from every major family in Chicago. Elena stood in the observation area with Marco and Teresa, her medical bag at her feet. Below, in the ring, Dante faced Vincent Marconi for the first time. Vincent was older, maybe 50, with the hard-worn look of someone who'd climbed over bodies to reach power. He was heavier than Dante, his reach longer, his reputation brutal. This is insane, Elena whispered. This is justice, Marco said. Their way. The rules were simple. Fight until one man couldn't continue. No weapons, no interference, no mercy. The bell rang. Vincent charged immediately, using his size advantage to drive Dante backward. Dante moved defensively, protecting his injured shoulder, using footwork to avoid direct confrontation. He's playing defensive, Marco muttered. Smart. Vincent landed a solid hit to Dante's ribs. Elena flinched, another to his jaw. Dante staggered but stayed upright. Come on, Elena breathed. Move. Counter. As if hearing her, Dante shifted his stance. Vincent threw a heavy right hook, the same pattern he'd used before. But this time Dante was ready. He ducked under, drove his good shoulder into Vincent's gut, used the man's momentum to throw him off balance. Vincent hit the mat hard. The crowd roared. That's it, Marco said. Giuseppe's technique. Use his weight against him. But Vincent was far from finished. He rolled, came up swinging, caught Dante's injured shoulder with a vicious strike. Dante's face went white. Blood bloomed through his shirt. No, Elena whispered. The stitches. Dante was bleeding, his left arm now hanging more limply. Vincent saw the weakness and pressed his advantage, targeting the shoulder with brutal efficiency. He's going to lose, Teresa said quietly. No. Elena's voice was fierce. He's going to win. As if responding to her faith, Dante changed tactics. If he couldn't use his left arm, he'd compensate. He shifted to a completely right-side dominant stance, something Giuseppe had drilled into him. Vincent, expecting continued weakness, overcommitted to another shoulder strike. Dante moved fast, precise, using every ounce of training and desperation. His right fist connected with Vincent's throat, a devastating strike that dropped the bigger man to his knees. Vincent gasped for air, his face purpling. Dante stood over him, breathing hard, blood soaking his shirt. He could end it now. One more strike. Vincent was vulnerable, defeated. The crowd waited. Dante looked up, his eyes finding Elena's across the arena. She nodded once. Your choice. Dante stepped back. Yield, he said to Vincent. Yield and leave Chicago. That's the only mercy you get. Vincent coughed, glared, but nodded. I yield. The arena erupted. Don Calabrese entered the ring, raising Dante's good arm. The trial is concluded. Dante Moretti maintains his territory. Vincent Marconi is exiled. Elena was already moving, pushing through the crowd, medical bag in hand. She reached Dante as he stumbled, Marco catching him. Get him to the medical room. Now. They set up in a converted storage room, Elena working with practiced efficiency to assess the damage. You tore your stitches. Worth it. Dante's smile was, pained but triumphant. He's gone. You're safe. You're an idiot. An idiot who won. Elena couldn't help but smile as she cleaned and resutured the wound. You're going to have to take it easy for at least 2 weeks now. Will you be there to make sure I do? The question hung between them, weighted with hope and fear. I don't know, Elena said honestly. Ask me when you're not high on adrenaline and victory. I'm asking now. Then ask again in 2 weeks, when you're healed, when the crisis is over, when we can think clearly. And if my answer doesn't change? Elena looked at this impossible man who'd fought for her, bled for her, won for her. Then we'll figure it out, she said softly. Somehow. Epilogue. 3 months later, Elena's clinic reopened on a Tuesday morning in January. The renovations were extensive new equipment, updated facilities, a state-of-the-art surgical suite that put some human hospitals to shame, all funded by an anonymous donor who definitely wasn't a crime boss. Her first patient was a golden retriever with an ear infection. Normal, routine, exactly what Elena had been craving. She finished the exam, wrote prescriptions, sent the happy dog and his owner on their way. Dr. Russo? Jamie poked her head into the exam room. Your 11 o'clock is here. I don't have an 11 o'clock scheduled. I know, but Jamie's smile was knowing. I think you'll want to take this one. Elena walked to the waiting room and stopped. Dante sat on the bench, Nero beside him, both looking remarkably healthy. The German shepherd's tail thumped when he saw her. Mr. Moretti, Elena said, professional despite her racing heart. I don't recall scheduling a follow-up. I'm a walk-in. I hope that's acceptable. That depends. Is this a medical visit or it's a conversation, if you'll allow it? Elena glanced at Jamie, who was pretending not to eavesdrop. Exam room 2. Follow me. Inside the private room, Dante let Nero off his leash. The dog immediately came to Elena for pets and attention. He looks great, Elena said, running professional hands over Nero's body. Complete recovery. You've been taking good care of him. He has excellent doctors. Had. Past tense. He's graduated from my care. What if I don't want him to graduate? Dante moved closer. What if I'd like to remain a client of yours? You live 40 minutes away. There are excellent vets in your neighborhood. None as good as you. That's not true. It is to me. Elena straightened, crossing her arms. Why are you really here, Dante? You told me to ask again in 2 weeks. It's been 3 months. I'm asking. Her heart hammered. Asking what? If you'll let me into your life. Not as someone you're obligated to help, not as protection or duty. Just, he paused, just as someone who cares about you. Who wants to know you better? Who'd like to take you to dinner without armed guards and mafia politics? I have a daughter. I like your daughter. She's been teaching Nero new tricks. Did you know that? Elena blinked. What? Mia. She's been visiting the estate on weekends. With Teresa and your neighbor, Mrs. Chen. You didn't know? No, Elena stopped. Mia had been going to playdates. Elena had been too busy rebuilding her practice to ask details. She's been visiting you? She and Nero have become inseparable, and she's been teaching me Italian. Dante smiled. I'm a terrible student, but she's patient. Elena felt her carefully constructed walls crumbling. You should have asked me first. Mia asked me not to. She said you'd worry. His expression turned serious. But I'm asking now, properly. Can I take you to dinner? Can I see where this goes? No pressure, no obligations, just possibility. I'm a veterinarian. You're a crime boss. That's not exactly a normal foundation for a relationship. I'm a businessman with unconventional methods. You're a woman who saves lives even, when it puts you in danger. We're both stubborn, both protective, both terrible at taking care of ourselves. He moved closer. That sounds like a decent foundation to me. What if it doesn't work? Then we tried. That's more than most people get. Elena recognized her own words from that night in the library. She looked at this man who'd fought for her, who'd kept his promises, who'd stayed away when she'd asked and returned when she was ready. One dinner, she said. No guards. No business. Just 2 people having a meal. I can do that. And if Mia asks questions, we answer them honestly. Age appropriately, but honestly. Dante reached out, taking her hand. I won't lie to your daughter, Elena, and I won't put her in danger. Ever. You can't promise that. I can promise I'll die trying to keep her safe. Same as I'd die trying to keep you safe. His thumb traced across her knuckles. That's all I can offer. My best. My loyalty. My heart, if you want it. Elena looked down. At their joined hands, his scarred from violence, hers from healing. 2 different worlds, 2 different lives, somehow finding connection in the wreckage. I want to try, she whispered. I want to be brave enough to try. Then we'll try together. He kissed her then, gentle and full of promise, while Nero thumped his tail, and somewhere in Chicago, a normal life waited to be built from extraordinary circumstances. It wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be safe. It wouldn't be anything like the life Elena had planned. But looking at Dante, feeling his hand in hers, seeing the future reflected in his eyes, it might just be perfect. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.